All right. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Vinay, as they had mentioned, the CEO for Business Tabloid. So today our topic is on money flows, and yes, money is important for everything: growth, innovation, security. So before we start, just a show of hands, who over here thinks that India's digital financial economy is going ahead? The others have less faith. Come on, guys. Okay. All right. So yes, I'll open the floor to the panelists. So please introduce yourselves.
My name is Shrikant. I'm CEO and founder of DigiAli. We are a Singapore-based fintech, and one of the important areas where we operate on is small medium enterprises and access to finance for small medium enterprises. Uh, we realize that the human assessment of credit for small medium enterprises could go a certain level. Hence, we've created AI predictive models which are able to talk about if the SME is worth trusting, and we want to take it beyond, significantly beyond credit score, and move towards the trust score. We are operating in 4 regions right now: India, Singapore, uh, Philippines, and Vietnam, and happy to explore multiple other countries in across Southeast Asia.
Brilliant. Awesome. All right.
Hello, I'm Asit Rath. I represent Aviva India. Aviva is perhaps one of the oldest insurance companies in the world. We are a 325-year-old British company, market leaders in UK, and also in India. We have a joint venture with Dabur, which is a 100-plus-year-old, very well-loved entity. And we came to India in the first round of privatization. We were about 22-year-old, and there are many firsts. We introduced many new products in the long-term health, long-term savings, and the pension space. And we also enjoy the privilege of being one of the first to have introduced bank assurance to India. And as we speak, the company has gone through ups and downs, but we have a completely brand new management team, which is kind of rebuilding the company, and we are seeing strong growth move forward. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Shrikant. I'm the CEO with Kotak Cherry. Kotak Cherry is a fintech incubated by Kotak Mahindra Bank, and its purpose is to democratize investments for most of the retail investors to access any form of financial investments across mutual funds, stocks, and bonds. And we are currently catering to over 40 million customers of Kotak Mahindra Group, but not restricted only to the customers of Kotak Mahindra Bank. So look forward to speaking to all of you, and hopefully it'll be a good session.
All right. All right. Brilliant. So these are our fine panelists, the top CEOs of the BFSI industries. All right. My first question will be to Shrikant. Right. So Kotak Cherry is known for its innovative financial solutions. So can you highlight a recent technology-driven innovation that reshaped how Kotak Cherry approaches insurance or mutual funds?
Yeah, so in the world of fintech and technology, you're you're almost like a child in a candy store. Every day we go to office, every day we go to work, every day we go to school, every day we go to like less than 10 minutes using a few codes here and there. And having spent about 20 years in a non-tech role, been running one of the largest wealth management firms in India, this was a very bizarre moment for me, that loaded with very high quality technology team, loaded with very high quality engineering team, there is no problem that cannot be solved with the right intent. One of the features that we recently launched, and we almost use it in a toy-like manner. Every morning I log on to the Cherry app and try to see that, because it almost works like a charm, it almost works like a magic, is we just started our first account aggregation pivot into Cherry. And we just heard Mr. Sanyal talk about India Tech Stack 1.0. And as a user of India Tech Stack 1.0, it can't be more exciting times. We have just now plugged in with the first level of account aggregation in India, where any investor in Cherry, on a click of a single button, and upon giving a consent through an OTP, in less than 5 seconds, can see a consolidated holding of their mutual funds, which they would have done mutual funds through their friends, families, independent financial advisors, and not know what to do with it. There are mutual funds in direct code, there are mutual funds in regular code, and for all of us to manage mutual funds in one single place, you would have to go through realms of different Excel sheets and PDF. Now, what we've done is a single plugin, where through plugging in with all the RTAs, and upon getting consent from the customer through a single OTP, in less than 5 seconds, you can view your entire mutual funds, whether or not you've done through Kotak Cherry, whether you've done it through anyone else, all in a single way. Now, this just is such a powerful use case. Right now, the use case is limited only to viewing, but what it can pivot itself is that we can very soon pivot it to the customer use case and say, this is all the mutual funds that you've done. So many of them have been performing, so many of them have not been performing. And in a single switch, you can just move all the mutual funds into a mutual fund of your choice. So I think looks very simple, works like a charm, and that's one thing that we are very excited about.
All right, well explained. Asit, the next question is for you. So obviously, Aviva has a huge history. You've been here for such a long time. So how do you plan to rebrand yourself, growth strategy-wise, customer preferences? What exactly are you looking to achieve in this market?
So I think I'm lucky to be in India right now. I came back here last year. This is perhaps the most interesting time to be in insurance segment in India. There is a huge post-COVID. There's a huge realization that not enough people are covered. So the industry has operated for 20 years, and we have mostly covered, the mass affluent or the slightly richer, segment in India. So the total amount of people who are underinsured or not insured at all is tremendous. And perhaps when we go into, insuring customers who are traditionally not, insurable, so to say, we are relying a lot on data stacks. So we spoke about identity. It's part of the India stack. Account aggregators is required for us to do underwriting decisions to figure out whether someone is, eligible for that kind of insurance or not. And there's also a lot of work happening on the Pradhan Mantri Health, side in the India stack, and which would allow us to very quickly, without asking questions, use databases to say whether health-wise and financial-wise somebody is eligible for a particular cover or not. From the banking side, which has done brilliant work in terms of credit scores, which allows them to lend to the traditionally unlendable customers, so to say. So the market is huge. By any stretch of imagination, in the next 2047 is our target to have insurance for all in India. And that would mean that right now we have only one company in the top 100 insurance companies from India. But if we achieve 2047 insurance for all, there will be at least 10 companies in India which will be in the top 10 in the world. So it is going to be one of the places from where India will become a country from where practices will perhaps evolve and go outside. Whereas in the last 20 years we have actually borrowed practice. And the key to growth will be partnerships. We would partner with fintech companies. We would partner with banks, fund management houses, and even traditionally people who have never done insurance. Because what is required, especially on the life side, there are two major societal problems which are happening. One is, of course, the protection gap, which is very obvious. It can be solved fast. But the other one which is emerging is that people will grow old We are a young country right now. 20 years from now, there will be a very large population of old people who need a protection to be able to manage 20, 30 years of post work life for themselves. That's a very, very large problem which requires us to, kind of push on the pension side, private pension, or, setting aside money for their post retirement work. So these two large problems needs to be solved by the insurance companies. And we believe that because life and pension is all long term, it will require consultative selling, which would mean that we will also have to look at the distributors and how we empower them using technology, create very simple products, and as Shrikant just mentioned, make it dramatically simple. Account aggregator, click of a button, you can see everything, all products, similar stuff given to distributors who will perhaps stay with the customers for over 20 years. Because it's fashionable right now to talk about day trade, switches and so on and so forth. But over 20-25 years, we have rarely seen banks, institutions, or individuals actually sticking to their customers. So we will empower people at each and every taluk or a panchayat or a mohalla to be able to do some of these consultative selling as we move forward in insurance. Thank you.
Yes, definitely makes sense. I mean, I have to also agree with the fact that since we are competing with China for being the next largest economy, things of the future. And like you rightly said, there's still a lot of people who have yet to come into insurance. And digitally, in fact, I think we've definitely had a lot of innovations and a lot of connectivity. I think the UPI payments come to mind when one of the unique ones around the world. So my next question is to you, Shrikant. So obviously, your company's name is Digi Ally, which is perfect for this generation. But now, if you're looking at putting technology and finance together, so what is your insights on how technology reshapes the financial industry, or how you plan to put it out?
So the good thing is we are having this particular panel just after the panel with Sanjeev Sanyal, and he talked about digital infrastructure, the India stack and all of that. And you asked this question in the beginning. I think it was a connecting question, saying how many companies fueling this whole fueling the finance, which is financial technology companies as well as banks who want to do a lot of financial services. So we have a moment at this time to be really proud of what India has achieved, because multiple forums I go in different parts of the world, everybody is talking about India stack, and it is identity layer, it is the payment layer, and of course the consent layer, which is this account aggregator and Samati, which is coming in together. There are certain countries where we will be, government of India will become technology vendor to give, of course, not purely technology vendor, will provide each of these stacks. So what I know from a few of the UI/DI people is that you know Sri Lanka is going to look at Aadhaar, borrowing Aadhaar. Of course, they will have to control it in their own way. There are countries in South Africa, sorry, Latin America, who are going to borrow the UPI, right, from us. So we are at a stage where the technology, the concept are maturing, and this is a phenomenal opportunity for companies to move forward. Now there are many things happening. We talked about different technologies, but one thing that is becoming really available in And that is something which SMEs can use across the ecosystem partnership. And merging of payment and lending is something which we are seeing as one of the big areas for AI operate on. So these are the focus areas for us, and we are trying to solve the problem, which is one of the big problems across the world, not just in India, access to finance for small, medium enterprises.
I agree. Actually, in that way, small, medium businesses are the backbone of the economy. I know most people don't see it that way, but in especially the emerging markets, you've got the entire India, Latin America, like you said, Africa. All of these places require the financing of that. So on that note, to Shrikant, so managing risk while embracing calculated risk is crucial. So how does Kotak Cherry strike the right balance between the investments and growth?
So, look, when you deal with money, unfortunately in India, we just talk about returns. We normally never ask a question, or there is usually never a discussion on how does one quantify risk. One of the things that we know is there are certain industries, be it financial services, be it healthcare, be it education, where it has to be an equal proportion of domain skills and equal proportion of technology skills, which will give way to make a really solid company for the consumer. You can't just have technology solve everything without having domain skills, and you just can't have domain skills without using technology to reach scale. So one of the things that we notice is that when there are so many platforms, there are so many apps, if you go into any of the app to say that you want to buy a mutual fund, I'm just giving one example, you can almost know that which are the mutual funds which will come in the top 1, 2, 3 segment, because they sort them by the highest return mutual funds, the mutual fund which has given the highest return in the last 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Now, is historic return, but to enable the consumer to ask the right questions, that what is right for the consumer to buy in today's market condition, not what is necessary in the last 2 to 3 years. So that's one way in which we're trying to handle the question of this.
So next, Asit, right? So navigating regulations is a challenge in the financial sector. So how does Aviva India tackle the complexities posted by changing regulations and compliance?
As I said, it's a great time to be in insurance. We have a regulator who's perhaps the most progressive regulator in the world. It's the first time ever that we saw them giving us targets which were higher than the board targets, much higher than the board targets in terms of the growth numbers. And they are moving very quickly towards a principle-based, regulation rather than going into nitty-gritties. So product approvals have become extremely easy. Now, while these are opportunities, what it also creates is immense competition. There are 31 new companies which are disruptive companies, possibly waiting on the wings, applied for licenses. So there's huge opportunity. At the same time, it's going to be a world where companies which can react fast, which can innovate fast, which can partner fast, and spot opportunities are going to be the winners. And the regulator is actually always talking about facilitating this growth. Yesterday evening, I was in Bombay, and we were told by the member Life that you should be, when will you be 100,000 lakh crore company? We are 13,000 as of now, right? So he wants to know whether in the next 3 years can you move to 50,000, right? What do you want us to do? So this is unprecedented. This is what makes us very proud to be in India today, where everybody is progressive. Everybody wants to fuel the company, the country forward. And of course, our industry is now 25% of all the GSEC, long-term GSEC is subscribed by insurance companies. So it's systemically also so important. You will see the growth of insurance industry reflecting in many multiple areas, money getting into long gestation projects like our investments into green carbon and so on and so forth gets fueled by how much long-term debt government is able to raise easily. So we will see overall, a great period for us. So we don't have to manage the risk, but we do have to manage the change very fast. Thank you.
Right. Final question to Shrikant Patel. So DigiNI is mostly in the digital space. So I read an article from one of your founders where the tech space or tech stack has to be perfect. So that means UI, UX, easily going through. So how is it that the company itself evolves, and how does it stay forward utilizing these features?
So I actually have a very simple answer to that because we are API first.
Right.
We, our simple product is not one API, but few APIs on this, right? What the way we operate, and most of you may be aware of how the whole API economy works, right? You have partnerships, and Asit mentioned about partnerships. So you have, let's say, a mobile app or a website which is run by somebody at your digital platform. It's a simple conversation. API is nothing but two systems are talking to each other. One is requesting a data, and second is responding with the information which they ask for, or an error code. So it's like a conversation happening there. So for us, we are enabling multiple interactions, and we are enabling interactions for banks to give loans to small medium enterprises. So when an SME comes on the platform with banks, they will be able to pull some information, we will pull some information in the background, and then over a period of time, in few hours, the SME will have a score which the banker can see them in their screen. The second interaction is we are part of multiple marketplaces. So where there are buyers and sellers, and buyers can actually see the scoring of the seller so that they can make a decision whether it's a platinum company or a gold company. So that's another journey which we are enabling. We are enabling journeys now getting into the insurance domain, where some of the insurers, uh, traditionally lot less data is being given while you are insuring, and that creates information asymmetry, that somebody who's either a borrower or who is going to take an insurance will always have more data than the organization. And we solve for the information asymmetry by enabling this additional layer of trust by the trust score, so that insurance company can decide whether I should price this higher or I should price this lower, instead of giving a rack rate and saying, everyone is, let's try to mitigate the risk of somebody going rogue, right? So there are multiple scenarios where these journeys come in, and we are purely, focusing on building an API, robust APIs, which will enable organizations to build these journeys. At the back of this API is the intelligence engine, which is making decisions based on the information that is being shared. We also train that engine. In some cases, the clients come to us and they say, "Hey, you built this. Uh, Good, it works with a certain level of accuracy, but we have a specific requirement." Like for example, supply chain finance companies want to give loan for 90 days instead of term loan or working capital loan. So we have to train the AI based on the purpose. And one of the important uh, responsibilities we have is creating explainable AI. Because if a bank takes a decision or makes a recommendation for giving a loan, people don't go and say, hey, you rejected the loan, give me a reason, right? But if the AI starts rejecting applications, then there will be a lot of discussion saying, can I understand the logic behind it? And having that explainability is something which we believe is the foundation of the AI we are building.
Okay. So all three have given something related to the investment for the common person and serving the greater good for the people. So this is a common question for everybody. So in this entire financial landscape, which is ever changing, what advice would you give to the public on what to invest, where to invest, what decisions they should make, how maybe a small, let's say, one-liner, what you would think would make into more common sense, right?
Actually, I'll keep it even shorter than one sentence, but avoid FOMO. When it comes to the matter of investing, avoid herd mentality, avoid FOMO, cut information arbitrage, do investment because you want to do that. Don't do it because your next door neighbor did it. That's the only advice that I would give to everyone.
I would say the only philosophy should be save more, maybe a small amount, but for a long period of time, regardless of which instrument, whether it's mutual fund, whether it is equity, whether it is a guaranteed product, because money even growing at 6% compounding or 5% compounding over 20 years is a lots of money. I just realized I had a LIC policy which matured last year, which I took when I actually was a management trainee, first job, maybe the third salary, and it's quite sweet when you get something, after a certain point of time. And I'm sure anyone who's got a PF balance or looked at a PF balance after having worked for 15 years is always pleasantly surprised. So please be patient, save more, save for a long period of time. You'll make tons of money.
So, somebody had, interesting question to ChatGPT, asking a question saying, what does this word need? I don't know, can anybody guess, uh, you know, what, uh, what should people do in general in the word? It was asked to ChatGPT. Anybody wants to take a quick answer? You know what, at least this was going on the radio. Chat gpt said collaborate more, don't fight, right? And I mean, it's a shame that we have to go and ask this question to chat gpt, but and the second thing, I'll go with that answer, that we need to collaborate because there is a lot of partnership which exists, and in the digital world, there is definitely, you can push for that. There's a second answer which ChatGPT gave when the same question was asked. Second best thing people should do is that they should be uh, taking self-care. And I would also encourage each one of you to follow both collaborate and self-care. Okay. And don't blame me, things go wrong. You know who's giving this advice to you.
I think ChatGPT is more pro peace than. But yes, I agree. Collaboration, especially with a huge country like ours and the diverse population, I believe cooperation is the way forward. And I'm pretty sure we can give China a run for their money if we actually willfully collaborate. Okay, now we've come to the end. I think we'll take one question from the audience because we're out of time. Anyone has any questions? Okay. Any person
Really
there?
has a question.
All right, so I think we can take one question from the audience if anybody has. Yes, anyone in the audience? Yes, can we please pass the mic there? Mic, please.
You're right. So the question, just I'm repeating since most of you didn't hear, should we have humans in insurance or more help? Yeah. So I can just narrate to you that I was posted in Burma before I came back to India, and I was friends with the hospital CEO. I was one of the multinational companies CEO. Everybody knew us, and my wife had to be admitted to the hospital, and we felt very vulnerable. And the most grateful, feeling that we had was one lady who was assisting us through the entire process, talking to the various doctors. So I would say the human element will never be something that we can eliminate. You talk about health insurance, motor insurance, life insurance. Every time it comes to claim, you still want someone who can reassure you that yes, I'm there. Don't you worry. Right. So I don't feel that it can be completely digitized. Digital will of course aid, but it has to be delivered with empathy. It has to be personalized. It has to be someone who's listening to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Can we have a big round of applause for that wonderful panel discussion? Thank you to all our speakers for sharing your insights with us. And thank you, Mr. Vinay, for extracting the information from all our speakers. With a big round of applause, can we please again end this session, everyone? Thank you so much. We'll request you all to please come together for a group photograph.
Good stuff.